Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Uh, so today class is how to create the supplementary domains as well as subject element data set. We are going to discuss in today's class. Okay. So we have generated the Sdtm demographic data set yesterday's class. In today class, how to create the supplementary domains. Okay. Yeah. So supplementary domain process is similar to across all the domains in any therapeutic area. So once you created one supplementary domain, so the same process will apply for all the supplementary domains for all the SDTM data sets. Okay. So whenever you want to create a supplementary domain, so first you need to open the supplementary qualifier data set. What are the variables are they mentioned in the supplementary? All the supplementary domains, you can see only these 10 variables. These are all the required or expected. There is no permissible variables. Okay. So study ID, R domain, use sub JID, ID var, ID varval, QNAM, QLabel, QVal, QOrigin, QVal. So these are the 10 variables you can see in any supplementary domain. So we are going to include the information based upon the data sets. Okay. So here yesterday we have created the DM domain. In the DM domain, so let me open the CRF. So some variables we thought here. So this race variable we have included in the but in the main domain, but the race other was race other specific race. It was not included in the main domain as per the CDISC standard. Because whenever we have so pre-specified information, they so we can include in the main domain, but specific race other, that means the but so the investigator has written some specific race that was not mentioned in the protocol. So these are all the races. We already having the information, even other also we can include it. So if possible, but this race other, this information was not included in the main domain because so as per the CD scroll, race means only the races we included. Okay. So this race other information also required, but this was not fitted into the main domain. So in that cases, we can create the supplementary domain of this domain, and we include this information into the supplementary domain. Whenever we come to the we simply transpose the supplementary data set and merge back to the main data sets. Okay. So how to create this supplementary data set? Which variable you want to include in the main domain? So what do you do? So just keep this variable, this race other. Okay. So race other also we keep into this here. Okay. Main domain, and just keep here as well. Okay. So but in the final data set you drop, because as per the CD scroll, what are the variables we mentioned in the final data set, only those variables only we keep. So we drop this variable. So now what happened at the final data set, we removed this variable, but up to this final, you can see that extra variable. Okay, what are the variable you want to keep into the supplementary? So that variable was there in the final data set. So this data set you can use the source for the supplementary data set. Okay, so sub DM. So no need to create any separate program. So main domain itself we can write the supplementary domain whenever the Main domain was updated, automatically supplementary domain also updated. Okay. So data Sdtm. So which data set you are using? Source final. Okay. So here, what are the variable we need to include? First one, study ID. So already the study ID there, because the main domain we have study ID, right? That study ID you can take here. And next R domain. So which related domain is DM only? So R domain. Next U sub JID. U sub JID also we can simply copy from there. And here the ID var and ID var val. So simple ID and ID var val. So whenever we have some sequence number is present in the domain, so that time only the ID var and ID var val was we can map. Otherwise we can keep it as missing for the TM domain. Some other domain, if you are creating the what supplementary data set, so that time you can create sequence number was assigned to the ID var and ID var. Okay. So here, so in the DM, we don't have any sequence number. For example, here, uh, so for example, if you are creating the adverse event supplementary data set, there is a sequence number here, right? So in that cases, okay, in that cases only this ID var and ID var val variable we can use as a sequence number. Okay, so this variable you can create as a AE sequence, and here you will write like this. Okay, in case of supplementary adverse event. Okay, so and for example, if you are creating the CM, so CM sequence you have to use. But in case of DM, so there is no DM sequence variable is available. Why? Because sequence variable generally we created if the subject has more than one record. But the DM we have only one record per subject, right? So that is the reason here ID var is missing, ID var val is missing. So these are the expected variables only. So some variables, observations missing also, no issues. Okay. So here also you can see sequence ID or group ID related information you have to put. So whenever you are creating apart from the supplementary DM, so you can check the parent domain. If you have a sequence variable, that sequence variable information you need to map here. Okay. Just remember this one because this is the interview question they will ask you. So why the sequence where ID var and ID var were missing in the DM supplementary domain? Because there is no DM sequence variable is available in the parent domain, because DM containing only one record per subject, more than one record per subject cases. Generally, we create the sequence number as per the CDISC rule. So that is why ID var and ID var were missing, because those are expected variable only. So expected variable, that variable observation missing also not a problem. Okay. Yeah. So next QNAM, Q label, QVal, next Q origin, Q evaluate. Okay. So this Q origin and Q evaluator nothing but, for example, where it is coming from. The information is origin from CRM. Okay. So if any investigator is information present, you can keep it as a investigator information. So otherwise keep it as a blank because evaluator also expected variable. Okay. So here there is no investigator information is available in the DM main domain. So that is why we keep it as a missing. Okay. So investigator information is available. So keep that investigator related variable here. Okay. So this is thing. Now these three variables are many important. So which variable you want to keep. So which variable you want to keep, that variable you can map to the value, Q value. Okay. So this label is there, right? So this text you can map here. And the label of this variable, okay, you can take from here. Otherwise, so in the raw variable, we have specific other. So you can copy this one and you can add here. Okay. So now QNAM, QLabel, QVal, QOrigin, QVal. Just run. Now the supplementary DM, you can see. So this is the information. So the important variable here is if QVal not equal to missing, instead of keeping all unnecessary variable, only what are the variable having the supplementary information, only we can keep that two. So these two subject having the specific other race, so we can keep. So for example, more than one variable you want to keep into the supplementary domain, simply you can write output. Okay. So again, you just copy this information and put here. Okay. So for example, one more variable you want to keep, for example, this. Okay. So CBP related variable you want to keep into the supplementary. So this was going to other domain, but for example, okay, CBP also you want to keep. So simply you can map this CBP here. Okay. Here CBP and the label of the CBP, this one. Yeah. Simply you put the output. So CBP variable we are not keeping CBP, and in the DM also we keep the information here, and that was not needed in the main domain. CBP. Now you can see the supplementary. Yeah. So one subject having the CBP information as well. Okay. So likewise, n number of variables you want to be included, just drag those variables up to the final data set, and that data set you can use as a source for the supplementary, and you have to apply the variable and information as per the CDISC group. Okay. So any truncation issues you can see, for example, here. So as in the label. Okay. So length of this variable, length of Q label, Q name. So most of the times we will give 200. can see there is no truncation. So likewise, any supplementary data set, we can follow the same process. Okay, so what are the extra variables? Just identify from the raw data set and keep that variables into the supplementary data set. Once you done, what you do? Simply apply the attribute sections, means the labels and lengths you apply, and send this data set also into the permanent library, and the label you can give as supplemental qualifier of qualifier demographics. Okay, so main domain along with the supplementary domain. So there is no rule like mandatorily supplementary domain has to create. Extra information is available in the raw data set which is not covered into the main domain. So that time only we can create the supplementary data set. Okay. Yeah. So this is the process for across all the uh, data set creation, supplementary data set creation, irrespective of any project, anything. This is the standard procedure. Okay, you can create as a macro. So instead of copy paste, also it's fine. Okay, so many companies having the standard macros to create the supplementary, but still the backend, this is the process. What is QNAM, QLabel, QVal? So try to remember all these 10 variables. The interview people may ask you, please tell me the supplementary variable names. Study ID, R domain, use sub JD, ID where well, QNAM, QLabel, QVal, Q origin, Q evaluator. Okay. Yeah. So next we'll start with today's SE